Yeah, the city's been involved in working with the community on reducing greenhouse gas emissions for a number of years, and focus has at least for us been a lot on the residential side of things and looking at homeowners and what they can do in their homes to reduce their energy use and greenhouse gas emissions. So a number of years ago we started with developing some information that people could use for making those changes in their homes, and we call it our Home Savers series, and these were practical or our practical booklets that people can use to look at the various pieces of their homes that are using energy. So again, whether that's looking at furnace replacement or windows or attic insulation, basement insulation, all of those types of things. And we've found that that's fairly useful in that people can take those and then integrate that information, put that information into the work projects that they're doing in their homes, the renovations that they're doing in their homes, and that type of thing. So it's mostly that piece is focused on the education side of things, getting information into people's hands, and especially getting information in people's hands when they need it at the time they're doing that work. That has expanded on to programs where we actually provide rebates and incentives for people to take actions in their homes. So we've teamed up with the eco-energy work that the federal government is doing, and over the past provided rebates on high efficiency furnaces, on washing machines. We've done that, front-loading washing machines, because it's good energy and water reductions for those new that new technology. And this year we're actually focused on providing incentives for people to insulate their homes. So if you're insulating your attic or you're doing insulation on the outside of your walls or any other types of things in your basement insulation, we provide an extra incentive in addition to the federal government and the provincial government rebates. Again, looking at that collaboration and collaborating with people within the organization and sometimes outside of the organization, it tends to be, it's probably one of the most challenging efforts that we go through. And I think over the last while, what's really been beneficial is having a conversation and discussion around sustainability and sort of and in that getting to speak the language of those folks in the other parts of the organization. And what I mean there is really talking about if we're talking about social sustainability, economic sustainability, again talking to our finance people, it's really important to talk about that, and the environmental sustainability. And at the end of the day, couching that in terms of it's really about quality of life and services that we deliver to the citizens. So I think it's quite useful then that when we're talking, again we talk with our community liaison people, and they're quite willing to take information out to the citizens. They're interacting with them on a fairly regular basis. So that's an example where if we provide them with the right information and we can provide them with the right messaging, it's a good collaboration there. Again, an opportunity to work in those areas. And on the other side, if we're looking at the long-term planning of the city, that's another challenging area where we look at we're talking about land use and transportation planning and so forth. That's another area where when we can talk about those three pillars of sustainability, and really it's about delivering a better designing and delivering and building a better city. And really that's what if we talk in those terms, and again keep that discussion at the quality of life level, and it's a very it's an easier conversation to have, and we get more engagement and more buy-in as we move forward in these types of things. So we have some internal committees that we've worked with over the years, and our environmental policy committee, for example, is made up of a number of branch managers from across the organization. So again, looking after our waste management section, our drainage area, our planning area, and those types of areas. And I think it's, rather than a case study, I think it's just been that evolution that in the past, it's really been focused on environmental protection, and how can we protect the environment? How can we protect our global atmospheric system from greenhouse gas emissions, for example, and that type of thing. That we've really, again, moved into that discussion. That's part of it, but there is also the social and the economic side of things. So it's much easier to have that conversation as we move forward. And so, for example, the City of Edmonton just updated our environmental plan, our strategic plan, and that's the way we green. And in doing that, we've had a much broader conversation internally with the folks that again deliver those programs across the organization and to the citizens, and also a good conversation with the stakeholders and citizens of the community that this is much more than just about protecting the environment. It's about long-term sustainability. It's about resilience of the city, and when you start to talk about those types of things, you start to include many more in that conversation. Okay, well, I think as far as getting folks involved in whether it's the departments internally or even externally in the citizens, I think the real opportunities are where you can have common, where you can get the common ground and the common understanding and sort of the win-win type things. If we can again talk about reducing greenhouse gas emissions from buildings, and making sure we also have the financial benefit of reduced utility costs, which makes sense, but also about looking at employee productivity and the comfort of buildings and so forth. I mean, if we can include all of those things in the conversation, then we start to get, I think, better collaboration. So it's really about, rather than coming and saying, well, my goal is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Yes, that might be it, but you've got to talk with the people, whether it's your buildings or your fleets or your street lighting folks, and say, okay, what's the benefit for them and what's the opportunity for them, and if you can come up with those solutions that provide wins in all of those areas, then it's much easier to have that conversation.